All right, cool. Let's move on to question number 4. My child is 16 years old. How do you ascertain whether someone is nonverbal due to selective mutism and not due to a conscious decision not to speak?
So, selective mutism doesn't cause anything. It is a result of. What that means here is that again, I always use my experience. If an individual has selective mutism, is mute in at least one setting, and there's a consistency there, they have a reason as to why that occurred. It may not be as obvious now because we're talking 16 years old. So many, many years have gone by where this child is probably mute or conditioned mute, right? And so they may look comfortable, right? But they're not speaking. And so what's confusing to this individual, this parent, is why is my child not speaking? She looks comfortable. She's choosing this. No, she has learned to kind of exist in this world mute because one, she doesn't understand herself. And in addition to that, this child is misunderstood, right? They haven't figured out the whys, the baseline stages, what strategies to work, getting this child actively involved in their treatment to overcome their SM. So a child doesn't choose mutism. It's a result of something that is not found here yet. And so what I would say is coming at it from a compassionate way and really working with this child on their own social communication anxiety inventory and their own bridge to know where they are in different settings, to understand why this child may not be speaking. Very often the whys of SM for many teens started very young. And even maybe they develop skills, but their conditioned behavior stuck around. Like maybe they were a very sensory sensitive child when they were young. So louder, larger, lots of people environments overwhelmed them and they weren't communicating, or they had a developmental delay in speech and language, but then developed the skills. They grew into their sensory system. And those issues aren't there as much. Maybe they were bilingual and weren't comfortable in the language. Now they have the language, but those behaviors became very conditioned and now they're stuck. And so it's about helping kind of rule out some present whys, right? That could be making it continue, but helping them unlearn their conditioned behavior. So I want our listeners to understand that some of the whys may not be there now, but were there when it developed. And now the behaviors are very conditioned. And so I would say to meet that teen where they're at, very open, honest, talk about the bridge, talk about feelings, seemingly helping them, realize this is hard and we get it. Can't go through life like this, but we're going to help you and we're going to meet together and really work through this so that you are able to, engage and communicate. Now, you may have a teen at this point that's like, I don't really care. I don't really want to do it. Leave me alone. I don't, I'm no desire. That is kind of an oppositional way of reacting as a defense mechanism because they don't know how. When you don't know how to do something, when you can't do it well, when you don't have confidence in something, what it does is it causes avoidance, it causes more anxiety when you think about it. So you become even more avoidant and you just start to make excuses. You start to say, I don't like them anyway. My teacher's mean to me. I don't really care about math, and because math may be hard. So they start to do that. And so what I would say to this family is, let's figure out the whys together. Let's talk with this child. When we work with teens, it's tough because a lot of times they come to us already very conditioned. Parents are very conditioned. So a lot of it is helping them become unconditioned, but it's meeting them where they're at. It's the compassionateness of, it's not you need to talk like you've got to talk like you've got to, you can't go through, and talking to them almost like at them, you need to, you should, versus meeting them where they're at with compassion, understanding connection, comfort, or critical, but meeting them where they're at. And the bridge is such a beautiful, beautiful tool because it's very matter of fact. It's very much about giving them the control and then working through treatment so that they can become a more confident social verbal communicator.
Is a teen's decision not to speak, is that something that could be considered oppositional?
It could be, but I really would want to rephrase this. What if we said this teen can't? He's not choosing. One of my biggest pet peeves is people seeing children or teens as individuals that are choosing and refusing because
Right.
they aren't choosing and refusing. They can't. and their behaviors become very learned and conditioned, and they can seem a bit oppositional or uninterested and not motivated. But if we
Right.
begin to meet them where they're at, they start to open up. I mean, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teens. And I will say, as if these parents make this commitment to treatment, I always say, give me 6 months. 6 months. Give me 6 months. And 6 months could be once a month working, maybe an intensive, and then once a month. Communicamp, maybe an intensive, individual intensive, and then working. Give me 6 months. You are going to see progress at every single visit, because in addition to the child, the teen, we are now training parents to be able to meet that child where they're at, how to talk to their child to support them, rather than make them feel pressured or shamed. You need to, you should, like that's your goal, to go up to the store clerk and ask a question. And if you do that, you'll get, and the child can't. So now you're seeing an avoidance and maybe oppositional behaviors. And now the child doesn't even want to go out. Like, you see this. So it's the parents unlearning their conditioned ways and helping meet that individual where they're at. You know, there's
Okay,
one of my
so-
favorite statements: courage isn't loud. And maybe for this teen, just connecting with others in their areas of interest is a first step to find something that motivates them, that they like, rather than go up and talk.
Yeah.
It's really about, I keep saying it, meeting them where they're at.
That's the theme of this episode, meeting them where they're at.
Meeting them where they're at, because it's the truth. I would say that so many families come to the Smart Center where the parents are over here, the child or teen is over here. It doesn't work like that, because the child feels uncomfortable. They feel often shame. They feel that they can't, and that affects their confidence, their sense of self. But if we can meet them where they're at, and together we move forward with the right strategies, the right interventions, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah.
And you see this even at Communicamp. You see these in our intensives. You see it. You see these children start to sit up straight, to gain that confidence. A bit of swag develops. That is connection, comfort, increases confidence, which with the right facilitation stimulates further social communication, and they become a more confident social communicator.